Hello everyone, welcome back to Skeledon, Bushcraft and Survival. Glad you can join me. Now, along the way I've made videos about wild edibles, wild municipals, campfires, shelters, using deer hide, using different parts of deer, and all that's important stuff. But what's also important is food preservation. Now, out in the bush there's a couple of ways that you can do it. In fact, there's more than a couple of ways, but one of the best ways of doing it is smoking. And so I'm getting ready to show you a way that you can set it up and smoke meat.
Alright, let me hold this back so that you can see what it looks like all the way through. It looks a lot like a tent. Now this is just a quick and easy way to make a smoker setup. Now I'm using space blankets on the edges of it. You don't have to. You can use more limbs across the way than I got, and then put branches on there. The only purpose of that space blanket is just to funnel the smoke where you're wanting it. Now, this is just one method of doing it, but this allows to do several at a time. With this center piece right here going all the way across, it allows to hang whatever meats that you got there. Now there's a few things to think about when you're doing this right here, and it takes practice to get it right. Number one is the wind direction. You want to put this against the wind direction. That way the airflow will come around both sides and go inward. For two reasons. Number one, getting the smoke where you want it. And number two is keeping the heat in. Another thing that you're wanting to think about is temperatures. You're wanting to stay with it. You're wanting to maintain that temperature all the way through. If you're smoking fish and stuff like that, it takes 125 degrees to 135 degrees. But if you're smoking like your catches, you know, you're out in the woods and you trap and you catch a squirrel then or a rabbit, then you're wanting it to get around 145 degrees. And if it's poultry or pork, then you want to keep it at 160 degrees. So you want to maintain your temperatures, and the easiest way of doing that, because of this bar right here, this limb going across here, you can wrap it around there and bring it up away from the fire or closer to the fire. Now as you see down there, I have a piece of bark right there. Now that bark right there, depending on how much you're wanting to smoke, would go all the way across that trench, and that's what you would put your fire on. You're wanting smoke, not flames, but of course you're going to have flames to start with. The best way of doing that is after you've got your flame and everything is going good, you got coals build up, then take maple, hickory, apple, whatever you have available that is non-toxic, and wet it before you put it on the flame, and it'll cause it to smolder and produce a lot of smoke. Now as you see here on the ends, I've got a piece of cordage coming down to a stake. This is to hold this part straight where it's supposed to be. You can move it around anywhere that you want. You can also fold it up and take it with you. And when you're done with it, it's easy taking apart, and you just leave the limbs where they lay. But this right here is a good way of smoking meats, and food preservation is very important, especially in a survival situation, because you set up your traps, you may get more than what you know going to eat that one day, and you definitely you want to eat tomorrow, and if you don't catch anything, you've got something to work with. You've got food that's been, you know, preserved by smoke, and you know, you got a meal every single day. And there it is, all smoked up. Boy, I can't wait to eat this. This is a deer steak, by the way. Anyways, as you see, there it is. And there that is. And that's just to show you that the smoker works. Works good too. Now this one right here is a little bit bigger than what you would need for, you know, us, well, out in the woods. This right here is, I went ahead and built it kind of big just so we could string the entire run here all the way across and smoke a whole bunch of stuff at the same time. But out in the woods, you can make it much smaller and you'd only need one space blanket.
So that is just one way that you can set it up and smoke meat. Food preservation is extremely important. And two main ways of doing it out in the bush is going to be either smoke it or salt it. And, well, you can get salt from clay. And even though clay is edible, kind of prefer not to eat that, right? So you don't want it on your food. Well, smoking is the next best thing. And that is just one way of doing it. It works great. But like I said, it does take practice. It does take figuring things out as you do it to make sure that everything is smoked properly. You're not trying to cook it, even though that the smoke is cooking it. You're not trying to cook it, you're just trying to smoke it. And so you don't want it too close to the flames. You want to, you know, regulate the heat, you know, properly and stuff like that. And you really got to stay with it until it's done. But it goes a long way preserving the meat so that you have more than one meal as the days go by. You may go a day where you don't catch anything in your traps, and then you may go a day where you catch a whole bunch in your traps, and you just want to make the best way out of them. So anyways, that's going to be it for today. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, smash the like button. If you're new, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.